I told you it's not ready yet.
Honey, just show it to them.
Crash Bandicoot, Call of Duty, I mean the list goes on and on. By the end of this I was ready to move on to bigger projects and harder platinums. Well, I can't say I didn't ask for this. So if you haven't seen the last video, I recently found my love for trophy and achievement hunting once again after being out of the game for close to a decade. And to get back into the full swing of things, I platinumed 30 games in 30 days. Yeah, that idea definitely took a toll on me mentally, but after it was all said and done, the itch was still there to keep hunting, and so pretty much as soon as that project came to an end, I was ready to jump back in and pursue another platinum. Just this time one with a bit more meat on the bones, a much lengthier journey, and being as the God of War series is how so many people found the channel, and I'm going to talk about this game anyway, why not tackle Ragnarok's platinum next? I regret not trying to go for the platinums when I was revisiting the series, and I feel I need at least a God of War platinum in my collection. So that's exactly what I did, and I'm here today to take you on that 40-hour journey with me. Now before we get started, I do want to drop a quick spoiler warning as I will be going through all the trophies, which means, well, I'm talking about a lot of the game. So if you want to avoid spoilers, I recommend stopping the video here. Add it to your watch later, and I'll see you once you've beaten the game. Secondly, for those who are waiting on the review, I am working on it. That is going to be a thorough deep dive into the game, just like the rest of the series, dissecting the story, the gameplay, the good and the bad. But that video will take more time to make. I mean, I'm looking at a 50-minute to hour-long video for that one. So in the meantime, you have this. With all that being said, sit back, relax, and let's take a journey to God of War Ragnarok's platinum. We unlock our first trophy pretty early on into the game as we battle a big old grizzly bear who smacked me in the face with the reality that it's been a whole year since I've played these games. You can't die to the first boss, I mean that would just be embarrassing, and that's not the type of start we want. Thankfully, even though I did have some close calls, we ultimately take out the beast and unlock trophy number 1. Only to face off against Thor 20 minutes into the game. There's a reason why some are claiming this is the greatest video game introduction after all. Thor is no punk, even giving the player an almighty death fake out that had my jaw drop. He's just the type of fight that you'd expect from the God of Thunder. He's lightning quick.
Oh brother, this guy stinks!
He hits hard, and he provides epic moments throughout. After that absolute slugfest, we unlock trophy number 2
Odin is with the train.
and 3 shortly after for purchasing our first of many skills. 45 minutes into the game and 3 trophies down, I was definitely thinking this was gonna be a breeze. Now between all of these trophies popping, you can bet a lot of my time was spent scouring each environment for the over 400 collectibles, side quests and optional objectives. I'll dive into these more when they become relevant, but just so you know, I was completing these as I went rather than saving them all for the end, a decision I am so incredibly thankful for in hindsight, as I had no clue just how much there is to do in each realm. So we make our way out of the frozen hellscape that is Midgard into the realm of the dwarves, Svartalfheim, where we get trophy number 4 for upgrading a piece of armor, and through exploring found a side quest relating to the mythical creature known as a Limbach, an enormous whale who Mimir had imprisoned here long ago while serving Odin, and it's about time we free this behemoth to help Mimir right some of his wrongs, a big theme of Ragnarok. We battle our way across the creature, break the giant chains, only to find that even though now free, it's cool staying put, unlocking another trophy and a new island ready to be explored. Once we come back from Svartalfheim, it's time to play as Atreus. Yeah, I was genuinely shocked when we took over as the boy himself, and there's a lot to like about Atreus' gameplay moments, but that's for the review, and no actual trophies pop here, it's just a way for me to say, hey, we might be Atreus sometimes. Once back playing as Kratos, we make our way to Alfheim, free one of the 2 enormous flying jellyfish known as Hafgafus? Jeez, these names are brutal. After which we return to the realm between realms, and after drifting off to sleep, Atreus wakes up in Jotunheim in what is easily the longest Atreus section of the game. Jotunheim is a stunning locale, but the trophy drought has been real at this point. We're 10 hours in with 5 trophies. At least the next one is exciting, as Atreus and fellow giant Angrboda battle her deranged grandmother in what is a really unique battle for the series. Not a difficult fight, but very Stuart Little. Who would have thought we'd ever be here? And once we destroy her cauldron of terrors, we unlock our next trophy.
This way.
Since this little romp in Jotunheim wasn't just a dream, Atreus wakes up 2 days later back in Midgard with a furious Kratos about to open up some old-fashioned 2005 whoop-ass on him, before we're attacked by a mysterious Valkyrie who, yeah, she proves everyone right. I should have fought all the Valkyries in 2018 because she was kicking my butt. In hindsight, I fought her terribly, and on anything above normal, I die here 10 times out of 10, but on normal, I managed to scrape through my first attempt and have another trophy pop.
I'm coming right up.
And because Atreus is in the naughty corner now, we team up with Freya for the moment. We make our way to a new realm called Vanaheim, probably the largest realm in the game, and I'll be honest, one of my favorites to come back to. On our quest to free Freya from her curses, we encounter the creature called... Let's start again. On our quest to free Freya from her curses, we encounter a space dragon, which is visually insane and great fun to face off against, which of course leads to our next trophy popping. And a second one for good luck, as the dragon also unlocks an amulet where we can add various enchantments to Kratos. We celebrate Freya's newfound freedom by going out and further exploring Vanaheim, first off retrieving a very mysterious, possibly deadly orb for Lunda. Sorry, did I say orb? I meant tennis ball for the pig dog. What's her name?
Huh?
I seriously can't hear what she's saying here. Anyway, this unlocks another trophy. And since we're already out and about, we might as well help Freya tie up some loose ends by retrieving the sword her and Odin plunged into a tree, unlocking another trophy and a pretty sweet sword for Freya to boot. I decided to do a bit more exploring around the realms before continuing on with the main quest, which had me heading back to Alfheim to do some side quests and freeing the second Hubba Bubba, unlocking our next trophy. Along with some gorgeous scenery, and with the storms cleared, I went about doing the usual bits and pieces. After continuing on with the main quest and resuming control of Atreus, we finally make our way to Asgard, which is stunning from top to bottom. But there's no trophies here, so again, not really relevant for the video. Back as Kratos, before meeting with the Sisters of Fate, I decided to explore the Frozen Lake, defeating all the Wolf Hunter camps, which allowed me to pat our bestest doggos and unlock another trophy.
Expect to find the Norns without letting the wolves.
More story moments go by which are frickin' awesome, and I continued to leave the main story and wander off the beaten path to further explore. This time taking us to Svartalfheim to retrieve the hammer of the Dwarven Rebellion for a side quest, and unlock our next trophy, before returning to the main quest and unlocking the most fun weapon in the game, taking me back to Ghost of Sparta, the almighty spear. Atreus makes a colossal mistake releasing the hellhound Garm, and once he returns from Asgard to the tree, we battle the hordes of the undead before unlocking the next trophy at the end. But of course, we can't leave a wolf tearing up the realms alone, so to fix Atreus' mistake, he and Kratos head to Helheim to try and slay the beast in another great boss fight, with multiple phases no less, harkening back to the Hydra fight in some instances. Garm is a tough cookie, so tough that even once dead, he's not dead, and to stop him, Atreus stabs the soul of a good boy into Garm to put an end to his chaos and unlocking our next trophy. By coincidence, another trophy pops soon after for obtaining all the shields in the game, which I unlocked by a complete accident, just by exploring each area to the fullest up to this point. We continue on back to Vanaheim, and while the rest of our crew attempt to free Freya's brother, Freyr, those names are way too similar, we face off against the main antagonist for the game up to this point, Heimdall. Heimdall is another great boss battle with his cocky attitude throughout and just general evasiveness makes taking him down so satisfying, and you really have to be locked in to avoid his attacks. His demise is also some straight up old school God of War goodness. I love it, just as much as I love hearing another trophy pop at the end of it. Now, it was from this point where I took a long break from the story, as a new area of Vanaheim unlocks after we free Freyr, filled with all sorts of goodies, like unlocking the dragon-scaled armor set, hunting down and slaying all the invasive creatures, returning the 4 season stags to Radataska,
That was not our aim.
and unlocking the last piece of our amulet to have as many enchantments as we possibly can, which we were unlocking through fighting the tough enemies in the realm tears and certain story missions. I love this part of Vanaheim. There are so many worthwhile objectives and rewards. It made for an area I spent well over 4 hours in one go to do everything possible. As the story goes on and we make our way to Muspelheim, we unlock a trophy for getting all the apples and horns in the Nornir chest, which are probably the easiest collectibles in the game, at least to spot the actual chest. Finding the pieces that unlock them are sometimes pretty straightforward, and other times I'm spinning around the environment hoping my eyes can magically find them. Obviously, the health and rage meter upgrade is worth it, but yeah, some of these things are like spotting Wally. Anyway, after progressing through Muspelheim and finding Surtur, he becomes Ragnarok, and we face off against 2 Valkyries in Hrist and Mist. One of the many duo fights in the game, and are pretty challenging with their multiple phases involving taking out their full health again. Thankfully, their health is tied together, meaning if you hit one, you damage both, and results in just making sure you're aware of what one Valkyrie is doing while you attack the other. After we take care of these 2, we unlock our second last story related trophy. This is where Ragnarok begins. We invade Asgard, a whole bunch of craziness and bombastic action goes down, and we finally face off against Odin, who is a solid final fight. He has great variety in his attacks, mixes it up often enough to keep you on your toes, packs a punch. He's a good fight. Not my favourite fight, but a good fight, and oh so satisfying to see him meet his end. Unlocking our final trophy for the main game, and leaving us going into the end game with 25 out of 36 trophies. Not a bad effort. Unfortunately, those last 10 trophies, not including the platinum, involved a bit of a grind. So our last remaining trophies we needed were the Florist, the Librarian, the Curator, Collector, Funeral for a Friend, Rightful Place, Trials by Fire, Ready for Commitment, Grave Mistake, and the True Queen, most of which had to do with either collecting all the artifacts and general collectibles, or fighting some of the toughest fights in the game. Now granted, all of this took me a grand total of 6.5 hours after I completed the main story, but I was pretty much all set with the collectibles, for instance, having roughly 44 out of 48 ravens by the end of the game, just by exploring each area and being curious. I wanted to go and explore every nook and cranny of this game to unlock more gear, find new characters, fight more bosses, hear more about the backstory of this world, see all the sights, and because of that, it made my endgame grind a whole lot easier. Which thank goodness, because without the promise of a story to go back to, my motivation for grinding out some of these trophies would have been done and dusted. First off that list of trophies though, I decided to tackle the Florist, as I only had a few left and that would take me to realms I hadn't really explored up to that point, or couldn't explore, like Niflheim for example, which has some great endgame story that I won't spoil. This led me in the end back to Muspelheim because I needed to tackle probably the most tedious trophy of the lot next. So after finding the final flower and unlocking the trophy,
An ash petal.
I went on to attempt the trials, which consisted of 9 simpler trials and 6 gauntlet trials. Now initially it didn't sound too bad, as the simple trials were, well, pretty straightforward, but those gauntlet trials require a specific combination in which you need to replay the easy trials in a specific order, say one on the left and then one on the right, and that unlocks a gauntlet trial. Thankfully the rewards for these are amazing and helped us achieve the Ready for Commitment trophy for fully upgrading a set of armor.
Better get
But that means you need to replay the same trials over and over to unlock all the gauntlets and unlock the trophy, which is a fun challenge, but holy hell is this tedious and an unnecessary grind. Again, thankfully the rewards are worth it, made evidently clear by my curiosity having me stumble across the Valkyrie Queen and quickly getting the brakes beat off me, having me run off with my tail between my legs and going back to unlock the Trials by Fire trophy. Next I decided to head to Svartalfheim to attend Brock's funeral, but not before first exploring the mines where we found Tyr to finish up finding the rest of the artifacts and books. These, once again, are absolutely everywhere in the game, most just lying around. There are quite a few of these, some only obtainable through revisiting areas over and over again, but again, they're pretty easy to spot, and I found they came quite naturally while I explored. So through finding our last book, we unlocked both trophies at once, which is always satisfying.
Been a while since time to try again.
After this, we attended Brock's funeral, which all I'll say for now on this matter, hit me right in the feels. And then I went on to tackle the Berserkers, Ragnarok's Valkyries, basically. There are 10 Berserker gravestones to find and fight before facing off against the King, and these fights can be absolutely brutal. Looking at the gank fight in particular, that made me want to tug my ball bag so hard it'd fling back up and knock me out. I mean, seeing these types of health bars and dying is every gamer's worst nightmare. Not all fights were like this, most I was able to beat the first couple of tries after learning the general moves, and they're great fights. Some are solo, some are duo, some are garbage. I only faced a few of these during the story as, well, they're tough cookies without max gear, but they're all great practice for the King. The King, much like the Valkyrie Queen from 2018, takes in all those abilities you've faced up to this point and pours it into one tough bastard. At this point, I did have max weapons, max armor, and learned how to best optimize my runes and enchantments though, so while tough and a good fight, I managed to take out the King on my first few attempts, unlocking Grave Mistake. So to reward myself, I decided to jump straight back into the fire and tackle Gnar. Easily the toughest fight in the game for me, and one that took me dozens of attempts to take down. She hits hard, has so many attacks and various attack Qs, a massive health bar. I mean, it's fitting she's in Muspelheim because this fight is a gauntlet. But she can be stopped, and with the right attacks and attention to her patterns, she does eventually fall, unlocking the True Queen trophy, and leaving us just a couple of trophies shy of the platinum. I finally remembered to revisit Ratatoska and free the last Lindworm, which is really simple if you're 100%ing each area anyway, as they appear in the same realm tiers, unlocking Rightful Place,
You sought the dragon's offspring.
which left us with only Collector left. This isn't a trophy for collecting all of, well, everything. This trophy just requires you to find and craft every relic and sword hilt, which is actually apparently a bug trophy at the moment for some. Thankfully, I had actually just missed an ingredient for one of them and missed a legendary chest for the other. And once I found both of these, the collector trophy popped, along with my 39th platinum trophy. After 40 hours with God of War Ragnarok, my journey was finally over. And I've got to say, yeah, it can definitely be a bit of a grind. I mean, if I didn't approach this journey the way that I did and let my curiosity get the better of me, getting all these collectibles after it was all said and done would have been a nightmare. There is so much content in this game, so much that goes into some of these trophies, so much tedium, so much rage and backtracking. If I didn't have the story to go back to after hours of exploring, just doing it again in another realm, I might have cracked here. But I didn't. I explored until I didn't want to anymore, and I played the story until I felt like going for more optional goodies. I was just happy enjoying the game at my own pace, and I think platinum or not, Ragnarok is worth doing as many optional things as you can stomach. Just go and tackle the optional bosses. find the secret upgrades, look for more story. There is a lot here that doesn't even warrant a trophy, but I wanted to see where it leads, like the Ravens and the optional boss that follows. I'm not saying every optional objective is a gem. I still am not a fan of the trials and their needless repetition, but going for this platinum, what I really came away with was a genuine sense of accomplishment and fun. Sure, going for the collectibles is very gamey, sort of boring if you don't care for the lore, or doing the same thing over and over for a virtual reward. But there is so much wonder associated with going for the platinum that I'm still left almost in awe of what I experienced. God of War Ragnarok may not be perfect, as I'll discuss in my complete review, but it's a game I thoroughly enjoyed, and going for that platinum I think only improved my experience. Thank you all so much for watching the video. Once again, something different, so if you did enjoy, make sure to leave the video a like because it helps let me know that you enjoyed yourself. Comment below your thoughts on God of War Ragnarok and your platinum experience if you went for it. Also be sure to let me know if you want to see more videos like this in the future. Shout out to the channel members, Infamous Sir Hellfire featuring Gagiano, Christian Vilgag, Cloud Connection, Cynical D and Conker for that extra level of support. I truly do appreciate it. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, go give my socials a follow if you fancy, at MayorHairBear, and I'll catch you all in the next video.